Okay, my name is Neil. I'm here representing Awaaz Day, and I think I can speak for many people in this room who are social innovators when I say that any organization or initiative that you start is very personal. It's not just starting a business in an abstract way. It's something where there's an itch personally that you have to scratch. So there's no way I can talk about Awaaz without talking about my own personal journey. So we'll start with that. Next slide. And that journey begins here. Who knows this place? Does anyone know this place? Yes. Berkeley, California. So this is UC Berkeley. And I went to college here. And I studied computer science. And when I came to college, it was my first exposure to computers. And I instantly was attracted to computers. I said, this is amazing. This computer programming and working in software is great. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I knew that pretty much right away. And so I developed this passion for computer science and for software. Taking that passion, next slide, after graduation, the first thing I did was start working in the software industry. And of course, I was in Berkeley, so it's Silicon Valley. It's the place where all the newest and most exciting software is being done. So I took a job in a place like this at a startup. And I really, really loved it. It was great. And it was great because I was working with exciting technology and working with exciting people and learning so much. But over time, a sort of unfulfilled desire started developing. So while I was working on technology that I loved and I was excited about, it ultimately wasn't satisfying the impact part of what I wanted to do with my work. So it wasn't reaching, the full spectrum of society, so to speak. So to put that concretely, I was developing software and doing technology that was benefiting somebody that looked more like this person. Next slide. So somebody that looked like this, somebody in the wealthy part of the world, sitting behind a desk, working in a corporate setting. And I really wanted to instead have impact on somebody that looked more like this. Somebody who doesn't have access. So we were in Silicon Valley, and that's still going on today. You're mainly developing products and technology that benefits that top of the pyramid, that 1%. But what about the rest of the 99%? So can we apply our same skills, our same passion to benefiting somebody like this? So that was a question in my mind, and that brought me to India. So I came in 2006 and started working and started doing research. I started trying to understand what the needs of this person is and how I might apply my skills to serving this person. And there was a couple of insights that developed through that process. So the first insight is that in rural areas, people have a demand for information. It's clear. People want information. Just like we go into Google and search for whatever we want, similarly, people have the same curiosity and hunger to get access to information. I got started working in agriculture and learning about the needs of farmers. And with farming, nowadays especially, just like you need water, you need fertilizer, you need seeds. These are important inputs to your agricultural operations. Information is now an increasingly important input to your farming operations. You need to know what to plant, when to plant it, in what combinations. If there is a pest hitting your crops, how do you deal with that? And all of this information, these sort of requirements are changing rapidly. So, environment is changing, global warming. So you need to be able to keep up. So there's a demand for information, not just information, but localized information, relevant to this farmer, in his local language, that he can access, just like I can go onto Google and type. He needs to have something that's on demand. The second insight is that in the communities themselves, there are experts. There are people who are very knowledgeable. This is a farmer. His name is Babubai. This is taken in Gujarat, in northern Gujarat. At the time of this photo, he was 17 years old. And he was a farmer, and he was he's an excellent farmer. He's very knowledgeable. He was progressive. He invented this contraption here, made out of wood and simple materials in his village, to ward off pests in his field. So he would put this in the middle. There was a light that came down. There was some chemicals or some concoction that he put in that yellow thing, and then pests would disappear. He was explaining this invention to me, this contraption to me, how it worked, and then he takes me aside and says, I want this invention to be shared with all the farmers in India. I want all farmers to benefit from this. Now, that desire to share, that's with all of us, and especially in rural areas. But there's very few platforms for somebody like this, for Babai, to actually share what he knows, right? So that was the second motivation. Can we give people a voice? Can we give people a platform to share? So those two insights combined with the technology environment, right? These people don't have access to internet. These people don't have even access to computers. But what they do have access to is mobile phones, simple mobile phones. And if we're talking about giving people access to the last mile and giving them an opportunity to share themselves, you have to make that medium of sharing very, very simple, even simpler than text messaging. So what's simpler than text messaging? It's speaking, it's voice. So what we decided was we would set up a way for farmers like this to be able to access and share information through the medium of voice over mobile phones. So that was the motivation that got us started to start Awaaz Day. Next slide, please. So Awaaz Day started in 2010, and we developed a number of different voice-based information services. So these are voice interface-based applications for people to access and share information. So there's three kind of categories that we were working at the beginning. So imagine a voice portal. So imagine a way for somebody to call up, a farmer to call up a number and browse agricultural information just by listening and dialing prompts. An IVR system, if people know what IVR stands, what that means? Interactive voice response. So we're talking about voice-only interfaces. You just call a number and you listen, and you can navigate around and listen to content. So we do stuff like that. Then data collection. So oftentimes organizations who are working in the field want to know what farmers are asking, right? They want to know what they're growing, how they're growing it, so that they can better serve the needs. So we do a number of different products and services that let you very simply as an organization collect information from the field using voice interfaces, all voice driven. And then social many-to-many applications. So for example, our first project with farmers in agriculture was we set up a question and answer service. So it was a phone number that any farmer could call into. They can access a question and answer forum, a voice-based question and answer forum. There they could choose to either record a question, or they could browse the previously recorded questions and responses of other farmers who have already called in and left behind a response. They could listen, they could hear what other people are asking, they could even respond to what other people are asking. So that aspect of giving people a voice, letting people share what they know was also involved. So you can set up, through Awaaz Day, through this technology platform that we developed, you can set up these sorts of things. Now, we were doing that for about 3 years. We were developing these various different voice information services, different ways for people to share information through the medium of voice. Now, we did a bunch of different things, and then we took a step back about a year ago and said, okay, well, we've done a bunch of different products and services. What is the thing that's the most impactful? What is the way in which people use this technology? What's the most effective way that they're using it? And when we did that reflective process, we came up with a simple thing. So what organizations all across the board want to use this kind of technology for is the simple activity of sending recorded voice messages out to a group of people. Whether it's farmers, whether it's teachers, whether it's hospital patients, whether it's laborers, whether it's your supply chain, simply recording a message and sending it out. That's very powerful, very simple, but very powerful. And so all organizations want to do that. So taking that insight, we developed a product about 6 months ago called Streams. And it's basically a group voice messaging application. So it works in the following way. Next slide. The first thing you do is you create a group. So you add phone numbers to a group, to your voice message group. Okay, so these are the people you want to communicate with. Your group has associated with it a dedicated phone number. So it's a number that you can then tell your group members, okay, you can call into this number, and anytime you want to listen to our messages, you can listen. Also, people who are not part of your group, if they want to join your group, if they want to follow your message stream, they can choose to join your group, and then you can approve them. So that's the first step. Next step, post a message. Very simple. So now I have a group created. I want to send them a message. So either over the phone or on the web, I can record a message to send to them. Then the system automatically sends that message via phone call to all of those people. So what's important here is that it's phone calls. There's no special hardware that anybody needs to have. There's no special phone or device. And there's no special software you need to have installed on your phone. It's just sending a voice message to a regular phone call. So very, very simple. Post that message, next, and then the people get the message and they listen. They hear your message, that's it. And if they feel that they want to, they can choose to record a response to your message. So it's not just a one-way broadcast, it's an interactive medium. So not only are you disseminating, you're hearing from people. Okay? That's it. Next. And then there's a bunch of stuff that you can do on the web. So you create your group, you manage your group, you can post messages on there, you can manage your membership. All this is online. So the people who are administering the group, if they have internet access, they can do all this fancy stuff. The end person, the women in the picture, all they're doing is picking up a phone and listening. That's it. Music to it, he uploads the files, it's a nicely produced thing. And then the broadcast goes out to all of his fans, they listen to the message and they say, wow, 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 this is very nice and thank you for this poem. So it's a way for him to engage with his audience. Just recently a person named Sudha in Madhya Pradesh, she created a stream for her wedding. She was getting married and she wanted a way to communicate wedding-related announcements to her guests. So as an alternative to email, because we know in India, people are not on email so often. If you send them an SMS, then there's a language issue. You have to type it in your local language and it's cumbersome. But just speak, and the expressivity of voice is very powerful compared to text. So all of those factors combined make this a very appropriate technology for India. And that's what we wanted to create. Next, please. Okay, so this is just some charts about how this has been taken up over the last few months. It's kind of boring stuff. Continue. So the number of members who are on the platform has crossed 20,000 now in a few short months. Next. Okay, this is the number of calls. I just want to bring one point up here. So the number of inbound calls shot up in December. Huge. And I want to explain that. So there was a stream that was created for the Gujarat elections. So the state elections of Gujarat just happened about a month ago. So one group, small group of people, 3-4 people, they said, we want to, after the elections happen, after the voting happened, we want to provide a way for people to get updates on the election results in real time. Okay? So they set up a stream, and what they did is they had a couple people sitting on their computers and their laptop on the web, looking at the latest results on the web. Then every 20 minutes, they would take whatever they've gotten from the web and record a 30-second voice message and post it to their stream. Okay? And then they printed 50,000 flyers and simply said, here's a phone number if you want to get real-time updates on the election results. Leave a missed call to this number, and you can get their latest results. So they printed 50,000 flyers, put it in 5 districts. No branding, no name of a company, nothing, just the number. In a single day, they got 35,000 calls. So that's what jumped up. So people, I think that's an example that, thank you. People have a thirst for information. They want to know. Just provide them the content that's relevant. Next. So there's a bunch of other stuff that we're planning on doing with streams. We're very excited about the possibilities. Next. And I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Neil.